Hey guys, welcome back to 22 Lima Romeo. I'm Jeremy, and today we are here with your official April 2025 NRL22 Monthly Course of Fire. This Course of Fire is brought to us by Gaylen Mohr. He is the match director at Crawford County Shooting Sports in Denison, Iowa. This month's Course of Fire is going to be windy. This time of year in Colorado, we get some pretty nasty winds that come out of Wyoming, and unfortunately today you're going to hear a lot of that wind noise on the footage that we're bringing you. So without further ado, let's head out to the range, let's film this thing and see what you guys think.
First up for the April Course of Fire, we have Stage 1, Moving is Good for the Heart. We have a 1.5 on a double hanger at 72 and a 2.5 on a double hanger at 95. We're going to start standing, rifle at the high ready with all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, engage the targets with one shot each, near to far, from any outside position on the pyramid. You must always move to the other side of the pyramid after every second shot and repeat the engagement order. Alternate side to side without repeating the previously used position for a total of 5 different positions. Restrictions: positions cannot be repeated.
Ready?
Yep, ready.
Stand by. Engage.
Alright guys, getting going into stage 1 for my gear. I'll be using the Armageddon gear medium. I'm going to use the MDT Skypod on the end of the Arca rail because it really does help balance this rifle out. I'm going to have my optics set at about 12 power. For my strategy on this stage, I decided to shoot this from a standing position and work my way down. I did try to shoot this from a kneeling position and working my way up, but it just took too much time and I found that it was kind of painful on my knees. Now maybe if I would have been smart and wore knee pads, it wouldn't have been so bad. But I think that letting gravity do the work for you on this stage is really going to help you speed things up. Now the target engagement really isn't complicated. The most complicated part of this stage is just going to be making the game plan on where you want to start and how you want to move back and forth across the pyramid. I'm just going to use the top 3 rungs. I found that that was the most efficient way because then I'm only taking one kneeling position right there at the end. Everything else was shot from a standing position. Now typically standing is going to be a less stable and therefore less ideal position to shoot from. But given the nature of these targets, the size of them, I felt like it was a gamble that was worth taking, and it definitely paid off for this stage. Now as you guys can hear, as we're wrapping up the stage, the wind is definitely starting to pick up out here. This is going to be the way it is for the rest of the video. Alright, let's get on into the next one.
24 seconds left. Exact same as last time.
Next up, we have Stage 2. Is this Paradise? No, Rimfire. It's an NRL22 match. We have a 1 inch on a single hanger at 52 yards, a 2 inch on a single hanger at 82 yards, and a 2.5 and 3 inch on a double hanger at 92. We're going to start standing, rifle at the high ready, with all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, engage the targets with one shot each, large to small, in the following order and manner. Prop 1, far to near. Prop 2, near to far. Then back to prop 1, far to near again. Restrictions: only one prop may be repeated.
Ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
Stand by. Engage.
Alright guys, rolling right on into stage 2. For my gear, I'll be using the Armageddon gear medium and heavy fill again. I will again have the MDT Skypod on the end of the Arca to help balance this thing out. And I'll have my optics set at about 12 power. For this stage, I decide that I'm going to shoot from the bucket twice and from the barrel once. And the reason for that is because the lower we can get our weapon system, the more naturally stable we become. So shooting off the bucket seemed to be the right choice because I was closer to the ground, therefore I was going to be more stable. Now this target sequence has the potential to be a little tricky. So if you find yourself questioning if you're going to be able to remember the target sequence and switching back and forth, I recommend you just go ahead and write a dope card for this stage. It's not going to hurt anything, and if it helps keep you on track so that you don't get off sequence, then it's definitely worth the time that it took to write it. Now for me personally, I felt like dialing this stage was going to be the best course of action. I will say that it definitely took up a lot of time. I had enough to worry about with my wind correction. I didn't want to also have to think about my elevation. Plus, when we transition from one prop to the next, we're going to start off at the same elevation on the next target once we change positions. So it made sense to me that that was going to be okay to go ahead and dial those elevations out. Now, could this stage be shot faster had I used holdovers instead? Yes, it certainly could have. And considering I used the entire runway for this stage, maybe a better choice would have been to not dial. However, it worked out pretty well. I had a good time on that stage. Let's go ahead and get into the next one.
Right on time. Oh, you really have only out the wind wobbles.
Yeah, we almost lost our camera. The whole thing tilted back and it came back again. So there's gonna be some crazy video on this one.
Next up, we have stage 3, no time to snooze in the chair. We have a 1 1/4 inch KOL rack at 42 yards, and a 1 1/2 on a double hanger at 70. We're going to start standing, rifle at the high ready with all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, take a prone position and engage the KOL rack from large to small, and then the far target with 1 shot each. Transition to the chair seat and engage the far target, and then the KOL rack from large to small with 1 shot each. Note, this is the bonus point stage, where you earn 0.1 bonus point after the required round count has been fired.
Ready?
Yep, ready.
Stand by. Engage.
Getting into stage 3 for my gear, I'm going to be using the exact same equipment that I used on the previous 2 stages, except this time I'm going to have my optic set at about 16 power because I want to be a little closer to those KOL targets. Shooting from a prone position, you're really going to practice all those marksmanship fundamentals. Focus on your trigger pull, make sure that everything is clean and crisp, and you're doing all your due diligence in breaking these shots. Something you'll notice on this KOL rack is every time I hit it, and because of the wind we had out there, the KYLs are actually moving a little bit.
Oh.
Try to take your time if you have a KYL that moves a little bit, so that way you don't end up missing the 1/4 inch when it's your match day. Now we're going to transition up here to the chair. I'm going to build into a position where I can anchor the stock of the rifle to my knee and get some stability, some connection from the stock to the ground through my shin bone. That really does help stabilize that stock when I'm on that chair. I find that that's a great way to shoot props like that, and I actually learned that trick from the national champion Jason Nedved. I watched his videos. You should watch his videos too. He always has some things that you can learn over there on his channel as well. Working through the KOL rack, as you guys can see, the 1 inch proved to be pretty elusive. I was barely able to touch that with both the shots I fired at it. The rest of the impacts though, we were able to square up and hit those things solid. That was a pretty challenging stage. Let's go ahead and get into stage 4.
Okay.
Happy with that?
Yeah, good with that.
Next up, we have stage 4, saddle up, time to tame the Sawhorse. We have a 1 1/2 and 2 on a double hanger at 69, and a 2 1/2 on a single hanger at 92. We're going to start standing, rifle at the high ready with all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, engage the targets large to small from the Sawhorse in the following order and manner. From the left side of the Sawhorse, near to far. From the right side of the Sawhorse, far to near. From the Sawhorse shelf, near to far. Then back to the left side of the Sawhorse, far only. Then to the right side of the Sawhorse, near only. Note, a magazine change must be conducted after the first shot, but before the last shot. If a magazine change isn't conducted, then the last 2 impacts will not count.
Ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Engage.
Alright guys, well, getting into stage 4, this is by far the most difficult stage for this month's Course of Fire. For my gear, I'll be using the Armageddon Gear Schmedium. I'll be using the Wee Bad Straps Behemoth as a rear support, and I'll have my optic set at about 12 power again. This stage is really gonna be a challenge because of the nature of the prop, especially this particular Sawhorse. As you guys can see, this thing wiggles and wobbles all over the place. So for my strategy, I want to build a kneeling position and use that Straps Behemoth as support for the stock. Now, as you guys will notice, as I'm transitioning back and forth on the top of the Sawhorse here, I'm keeping that bag tucked in right there in that void, and I'm trying to keep it together so that way I don't have to resituate that thing every time I transition. Now moving down here to the bottom of the Sawhorse, I'm going to use that bag as a rear support to basically make this like shooting prone. And as you can see, the reticle goes almost perfectly still, and that is exactly the kind of stability that I'm looking for to break these shots. The target engagement on this particular stage is tricky. We're going to quickly get the mag change in there. Now is where things can definitely go awry if you don't have a well-written dope card or if you're trying to do this from memory. I highly recommend that you write a dope card for this stage. That way you don't end up getting off sequence. So having this noted definitely could help keep you on sequence and get you the impacts that you're looking for. As you guys can see, I used the entire runway for that stage and ended up rushing that last shot, pulling me right off target. That was a tricky stage. Let's go ahead and get into stage 5. Wrapping up this month's Course of Fire, we have stage 5, rounding the tank trap, heading home. We have a 2-inch on a double hanger at 77 and a 3-inch on a single hanger at 100. We're going to start standing, rifle at the high ready and all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, engage the targets with 1 shot each in the following order and manner. From the center of the tank trap, near to far. Then from each tip of the tank trap, near to far. Then back to the center, except this time far to near. Restrictions: no dialing of elevation while on the clock, but adjustments to parallax and windage is allowed.
Ready?
Yep, ready.
Stand by. Engage.
Alright guys, wrapping up this month's Course of Fire, we have our tank trap stage. Now, as you guys can hear, the wind is really starting to whip out there. And as you can hear those beeps, that means the trigger cam just died, and unfortunately you guys are not going to be able to see the footage through the trigger cam for this stage. I apologize. For my strategy on this, typically I like to shoot from the center of the tank trap first. That allows me to get a real solid wind hold because that's where I'm most stable when shooting from the tank trap. Now we're going to transition up here to the tip, and we're going to repeat the target engagement just like we did from the center. We're going to go near and far, and you'll notice every time I build into a position on the tank trap, I always build the same position. I use my support hand to anchor my body up on the bag. I splay my legs out left and right. I lock my knees out, bending at the hips, turning my body effectively into a tripod. That really does help stabilize everything, therefore stabilizing that reticle and making those shots nice and easy. Now, as you guys can hear, the wind is really starting to rip out there. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is at this range. Sometimes this is how it is on match day, and we just have to learn to live with it. Now, the last position here that we build into is back to the center. However, that last position, you need to switch your target engagement. We're going to shoot far, then near. Please don't forget that when it's match day. If you do, you'll find that you don't get those last 2 impacts, even if you made contact with the target. That was a pretty tricky Course of Fire. I had a lot of fun shooting it, and I hope you do too.
12 seconds left.
All right, guys, well, that is a wrap for the April 2025 NRL22 Monthly Course of Fire. I wasn't joking around when I said this month it was going to be windy. I really apologize about the wind noise. There's really nothing I can do about that, and I hope you guys understand. I'd like to take a moment to thank you guys for being here. We really do appreciate it. If this is your first time here, do us a huge favor, reach down there, click that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and be sure to share this video with a shooting buddy. I'd also like to thank Midwest Precision Shooting. All the targets you saw in today's video were provided by those guys, and if you'd like to pick yourself up a set, you can visit MidwestPrecisionShooting.com. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up, but again, we really appreciate you being here. Thank you guys so much, and we hope to see you out on the range.